As Richard Feynman said, you are the easiest person to fool. When we want to believe something is true, our minds, without our knowledge, will bend the facts to make them confirm our beliefs. These are called biases and logical fallacies that we make when we're making arguments. We all have biases and we all make logical fallacies. These are hardwired into our brains to ensure that we conform to social norms and hold on to what our families and friends tell us about the world. That makes it all the more important for us to think about how we think. I really love the word that describes this. It is metacognition. Awesome word, right? As another part of Carl Sagan's baloney detection kit, here are some logical fallacies that we make when we are arguing with someone. But remember one thing while we go through this. First, try to detect these fallacies in your own arguments before you find them in others. And in the next video, we're going to be talking about some biases that we have. Now, first off, ad hominem, Latin for to the man, attacking the arguer and not the argument. For instance, you're fat, so you're wrong. And yeah, this has been used against me. Argument from authority. When you make an argument based on what a prominent figure said instead of providing evidence, that is called an argument from authority.
इस सज्जन को क्या तकलीफ है भाई? क्या तकलीफ है इनको?
For example, someone can say there are only two sexes because Richard Dawkins said so, when Dawkins does not represent the scientific consensus on the topic. Next is argument from adverse consequences. For example, a man who has committed a horrible crime, like rape, must be given the worst sentence, otherwise it won't stop men from committing these crimes. Appeal to ignorance. The claim that whatever has not been proven false must be true, and vice versa. For example, there is no compelling evidence that aliens are not visiting Earth, therefore, aliens and UFOs exist, and there is intelligent life elsewhere in the universe that is visiting Earth. Special pleading. This is often to rescue a proposition in deep rhetorical trouble. For example, I think it's completely wrong to double park behind your car. But it's okay for me to do it because I'm just going in for 5 minutes. Begging the question, also called assuming the answer. For example, we must institute the death penalty to discourage rape. But does the rate of such crimes fall when the death penalty is imposed? Does it actually happen? Observational selection, also called the enumeration of favorable circumstances, or as the philosopher Francis Bacon described it, counting the hits and forgetting the misses. For example, you go to an astrologer and she tells you 5 things that are correct and 8 things that are wrong, and you tell me that the astrologer was amazing because she got 5 things right.
Together we shall cast ourselves into the future.
While forgetting about the other 8 things she got wrong.
Have I said something?
Statistics of small numbers. A close relative of an observational selection. For example, you're at a card party and you're on a winning streak. Everything is going your way. You just won the last 3 hands. Of course, you'll win the next one. Right? Non sequitur. Latin for it doesn't follow. For example, modern medicine has a lot of problems, therefore Ayurveda is the best form of medicine, or evolution does not have 100% certainty, therefore God must have designed life, or we don't know everything about climate change, so climate change isn't real. Often, those falling into the non sequitur fallacy have simply failed to recognize alternative possibilities. Post hoc ergo propter hoc. Latin for it happened after, so it was caused by. For example, my child got their vaccines and then got diagnosed for autism, therefore the vaccines caused the autism. Or, I got better after taking homeopathy, which means that homeopathy cured me. Excluded middle or false dichotomy. Considering the only 2 extremes in a continuum of intermediate possibilities. This is also one of the laws of logic, but we'll get into that in a different video. So for example, either you love this country or you are anti-national. Or if you're not a part of the solution, you're a part of the problem. You're either with me or against me. Short term versus long term, a subset of the excluded middle. For example, why explore space and go to the moon when we have people starving in the streets? Slippery slope related to excluded middle. If we let people identify as transgender, soon we'll have people identifying as chickens or animals in general. Confusion of correlation and causation. Children get diagnosed with autism soon after their MMR vaccine is given, therefore the MMR vaccine causes autism. Again, post hoc, ergo propter hoc. Strawman. Caricaturing a position to make it easier to attack. You think the universe magically started from nothing. Regardless, we cling to a multitude of beliefs and convictions, even when they lack plausibility or truth. But we want to believe them, so we do. When I was younger, I used to think that ancient civilizations probably had high levels of technology, or that aliens visited us in ancient times. I found out much later in life that there was no evidence to support it. I took it for granted that homeopathy worked because my family believed in it without question. It turns out I was wrong there too. But science doesn't know everything, right? Of course it doesn't. But it is the best method we have to attempt to understand the real world while minimizing the fallibilities of the human mind. And it works. Every TV and t-shirt, computer and Corvette, bottle of soda and box of chocolates, and even the internet are created using the scientific method. This has been the main engine of progress for our species, and that in itself is evidence enough for me to use that method when testing claims. So in its very essence, science is a way of thinking. It's about thinking critically about the world around us and trying to understand it rationally and naturally while minimizing the chances of fooling ourselves with our biases and logical fallacies. We must observe, test, experiment, question everything and find good evidence so that we can come to understand what is most true and what is most real. That doesn't stop people from claiming a phenomenon to be possibly true, even if not scientifically proven yet. It may be someday. For instance, what if ghosts or spirits actually do exist, but we don't have the technology to measure and observe them? In which case, we must ask the person who is claiming this, how did you observe them? And if you have experienced such phenomena, is it more plausible or possible that you imagined it or dreamed it? My response usually is, if you've had a personal experience, it could be a valid experience for you. But for me to believe it as well, you need to show me evidence that your experience was objectively real. The absence of adequate skepticism and critical thinking has led to the rise of many scams, hoaxes, conspiracy theories, and fake news. Many of these, like some alternative medicines, detox products, and fad diets, can have serious effects on people's health and quality of life. Critical thinking can nip these ideas in the bud and literally save lives. It is in this spirit that I made this video. Rationable is about critical thinking and about how we perceive our everyday experiences and trying to find a way to make this world a better place. Many such things can be exposed by using the scientific method and the evidence it provides. So I encourage you to be as skeptical about my claims as I am about yours. Provide the evidence for your claim and let's discuss it. If I'm proven wrong or inaccurate, I will amend whatever is required and I will change my mind. We're all allowed to do that, you know. In none of my videos do I plan to make any absolute claims. I only endeavor to provide the arguments that have the most evidence backing them so that I have a high degree of certainty and I can offer that to you. And if I have holes in my argument, I welcome you to rip it apart and help me fill the gaps. So, as Matt Dillahunty once said, I want to know as many true things and as few false things as possible. And being skeptical and scientific is the only way that I can do that. Is there something you would like me to make a video about? Put it in the comments. If you like this content, subscribe to the channel and ring the bell. And until part 3, where we'll be talking about cognitive biases, stay rational.